What do we think of Lyra Valkyria?
I like her, but not as champion. It's not the title
Really?
reign's not hitting for me.
Really?
Then again, I rock with Roxanne. But yeah, Lyra's kind of like solid, but not spectacular. And maybe I'm spoiled because when you go through that lineage of NXT Women's Champions, we not only did we ate, we feasted.
Yeah.
We were eating great.
But you have to give credit where it's due. They needed and what's the name just literally pointed it out. We'll get back to that in a second, Jacob, because we are on a commercial break. What's the name just pointed out, like on NXT UK, she got to shine a lot more, so much more. I think that what happened was they were trying to take the best out of UK, and they were so focused on Demand Them that they didn't give the women that much focus. Rhea was it. It was Rhea, and it was Kylie Ray. It was Rhea, and that was about it. Like they didn't really give that much of a mental focus, or and of course Isla Dawn. Now they didn't give them that much of a focus, and Lyra was kind of like the last of them, and so was Blair Davenport, which is why Blair Davenport is down at NXT now, and so is Lyra Valkyria. They gave them that focus. So when you think about the people they gave focus, look at where Rhea has been. But they've kind of pulled Rhea and pushed her so far into the stratosphere that you're like, all right, well, we care about her. You're gonna have to find a way to make us care about anybody else. And then that's where Lyra's like slow reign to fortuity kind of came in, because when NXT was ending, she was injured. So she didn't get that. She didn't get that last hurrah. The last hurrah you would have saw out of the Ilya Dragunov, or last hurrah we had for Wolfgang and Mark Coffey when they were in UK. They got their proper send off. Pretty deadly, same thing. Even Josh Briggs, a lot of people got the proper send off. She was not one of them. So this is to make up for that send off. But a lot of people are also like, we have a Becky Lynch. Why do we need you? But from what I see, she's somebody who can hold a character very well and hold a fighting champion character very well. And what person off the top of your head also held that character that people were invested in?
Wouldn't it be Becky?
Exactly.
Is that not like the easy comparison? It's just something with Lyra's missing for me. But I can see the hype, but it's just like
she got to do more in UK, and she was appreciated more in UK.
Maybe because I didn't watch a lot of UK, so it's also a lot of unfamiliarity with that. And it could be like what you said perfectly, where it's like with Rhea, you could tell they were invested in her. They pushed her. They switched up the gimmick, stuck with her when Charlotte cooled her off, and like you saw the progression with Rhea, and it's like I missed a lot of steps with Lyra. So coming in like a little inexperienced, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like I could see what people will like about it, but there's something missing there. Maybe it's I gotta go back and watch the NXT UK stuff and then be like, oh, so this it's almost like when you see Candice LeRae now, but then everyone talks about the Candice LeRae that's been in the indies and how vicious and violent and this and that. And it's like, so I gotta do my homework on this person, even though I'm not getting this here now.
Exactly. What do we think of Lyra Valkyria? What's going on, everybody? Oh God, I look like I've missed you guys, but why do I look so blurry? Give me 1 second here. Let's fix that. Let's see how cute I look. Oh, there I am, up close and personal. But what happened? What's going on? What is the deal, everybody? Welcome back to another amazing episode of Watch What Happens NXT. That's NXT Next, whatever you want to call it. That's what's going on. That's the name of the game. That's what we talk about. That's what we're here about. Another exciting Tuesday in the books after a amazing 2 weeks. Took a break from spring breaking because I probably was a little partied out. Did get to enjoy a great episode of NXT, and there's lots to dive into. Ava did say that the Raw after the draft will never be the same. Real quick, I gotta shout some people out in the chat that have been here. Wait, we got to talk about this Sandal Sapiens rise because this is interesting. Shout out to Dylan in the chat. Shout out to Rikarsha. I know more people are probably going to try and pile in. But it's been an interesting NXT. It was supposed to be the I don't even know what he called it. What did he say? The trick that whoop that error. I don't know. I might come up with my own thing because I don't know if I can agree with the whoop that error. I don't. Doesn't even sound. It doesn't even sound right. The whoop that error. Yeah, no, it's not sitting right with me. It's not cooking. It's not cooking in the kitchen for me. We'll figure it out, I guess, as the watchers, which is why I would call this group the Watchers. I found that to be cool, even though that sounds kind of stalkerish. But like the NXT Watch, Neighborhood Watch, or something like that. We're gonna work on it, y'all. We're gonna work on it as we always do. Shout out to the home front as per usual. We're shouting out Miss Queen PR and Chris to be those wrestling girls for allowing this space to exist. Look out for the girls do so much for. We're still slowly recovering from WrestleMania. I know y'all like, listen, WrestleMania was a month ago. Y'all don't have no excuse. We missed you. I missed you too. I missed all of you beautiful people. But there's so much going on. There's so much in the mix. We just got back to fan club. Shout out to Brian H. Waters and his Just Division. We just also go back to schooling sessions. So shout out to Chris Contreras and Pablo when they come back on. There's just so much happening. But I'm getting back into the swing of things. I'm getting back into getting more people who watch this amazing third tier brand. And I'm getting into the grid of folks coming into the chat. Like I said, we're live. We're direct. My next guest has always been live and direct behind the chat, but he's decided to join us on camera. I'm very excited to have him on. I'm very excited to have chop it up with him because I think he's a cool individual. I don't know. I'm just so excited. It's just a lot going on. You know what? There's so much going on. I'd rather talk to it with the person that's going to be on the show rather than just, try and muscle and talk about anything else. Real quick, I'm going to introduce you to this person. So many jack of trades. He's a writer, an artist, but first and foremost, he's a long life wrestling fan. He's seen some shit. Okay, he's seen probably more shit than me. I gotta muzzle that out of him too, so I gotta give me some time. Also the host of his own podcast, the Victorious Ones podcast, on Wednesdays at 8:05. I'm writing to Miss a Fan Club, so normally I'll have it tuned on my little iPad and then Dynamite on one corner, and then we'll just be talking, all our regular business on Fan Club. But also he's a big fan of the Big Five. I call them the Five Rock Rushmore. He's a Shawn Michaels, he's a Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker, The Rock, and a Bret Hart fan. That's a deadly mix. Jesus Christ. It's like you're like literally a fan of 6 different feuds at the same time. If you put Triple H in there, you're like a fan of all the feuds, the greatest feuds of all time. But nonetheless, I'm gonna bring him on. I'm gonna lower things down for him a little bit so he can get his piece in really quickly. I want to introduce you guys to Mr. King Vaughan. The King is in the building. Vaughn, are you here with me?
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here. I didn't know if I should put shades on or whatever. I didn't know what night this was. So anyway, great to be in the to talk about watch what happens next for NXT. Cat suit, as I like to call you all the time. Or actually, you know what? The honorary wrestling girl. Actually, I think that's the name I originally came up with.
Because, I think it is.
Yeah, because what happened was, hi everybody. Vaughan Wrestler Jr., King Vaughan Jr., the Victorious Ones podcast. Once again, and of course, here's the thing about it. Because what happened was when we first met at WrestleFest, I thought that you were actually one of the like wrestling girls, because I know about Krista and PR, right? But the thing is, because you were so like associated with them, I was like, I thought that she was with, but then you find out, you kind of like just affiliated with them. I was like, all right, honorary wrestling girl. So yeah, so you just named off my basically probably my Survivor Series like starting 5 right there.
It's crazy. I think a lot of people think I'm with those wrestling girls, and it really be honest with you. I've been doing this so long with them. Sometimes I feel like I am that like I think it's to the point where they like we only get to correct it when we really catch it. I'm not sure if they correct it, but sometimes I'm like, hey, no, wait, like I'm just with them. Like I work with them. We're an affiliate. Like they've done so much for me that sometimes just like what, like it's just we're changing. We're working on that. So the things that we've been talking about. Part of that's it because it's just so much going on with this channel. I feel like you can't even just call it a podcast. I feel like it should be so much more, but that's just me. That's just them. That's something we're gonna get into the gist of when we cross that bridge. Okay, we can't politic on a live show. No. But welcome. I just humored that. I feel like you're a fan of 6 different feuds at one time. Right. So you can tell me don't want to not talk about any of those amazing individuals, by the way, but I do want to talk about Shawn Michaels. What do we think about your favorite person's work right now with the NXT developmental brand?
I think it's remarkable, to be honest with you. People may, like because I think because here's the thing about it is that he worked with what was given to him, and so especially in the aftermath of the Horsewomen and Asuka and all of them leaving, right? And so the thing about it was that it was that especially with and then Triple H elevating to to the COO to where he is now. So the thing about it is that Shawn, you could tell a lot of this stuff a lot of the storylines we see are pretty much Shawn Michaels' career mode at this point.
Pretty much.
Because we look at and the thing is, I would say that arguably probably one of, if not the most influential wrestler I've ever seen, honestly, would be Shawn Michaels. I'm not saying it's because it's an NXT show, but this is what I, firmly believe. You know what I mean? And so both you and I are, big HBK fans anyway of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so because you can look at his influence when you look at Carmelo, who's just got a call up. You look at, you can even say, see, even the thing with a storyline with JC Jane and Gigi Dolan, Rockers right there, right? You know what I mean? So in Mello as a villain, it's pretty much 1993 Shawn Michaels. Trick is 1994 Diesel. You know what I mean? And so like with like I said, with that being said, and then you look at the modern style of wrestling that we know of, a lot of it has his DNA in it anyway. You know what I mean? So as far as the stuff that you see with even when it comes to Mello, Wesley, all these other guys like that, you know what I mean? Like Shawn Michaels has, like I said, he had his imprint. With all due respect, RIP to Dusty. We talk about his, but the thing about it is that you have to give because there's no way that you don't recognize the imprint of HBK, who is even more firmly in that Go conversation anyway. You know what I mean? And so the product speaks for itself. I am gonna get long-winded, but that's what it is.
It definitely is. It's great to see because imagine you live this lifelong dream of being like a Shawn Michaels or being like a Bret Hart or being like a Stone Cold or any of these people like women, a Lunder Blaze or a Lita or a Trish. And then you get this call up, you get this tryout. We talk about Next Gen, which is a series I'm always going to recommend, even though like the news while I was away, the news broke that a lot of people that they released were from the show. That's here nor there. I'm telling everybody to watch this series on Roku. I've been literally pushing everybody do this because if you ever want to be a WWE superstar, if you ever wanted to consider being a part of that show, I would watch it because it literally is they're giving you for free what happens, what's the format, what to prepare. Because one of the things that I adored is that Shawn Michaels was there. Matt Bloom is there. I'm sorry, everybody who knows Lord Tense, I know him. Listen, he's Albert from TNA. Okay? He Albert. My name Albert. Okay, so he's on that show. He's a coach at NXT. Very well known. We didn't get a lot of Norman. I was a little bothered we didn't get no Norman, but we did get Robbie. Right. We got us some Robbie. Robbie's a legend.
Yes.
Legend, honey. He may not be a Bret Hart, but he's somebody's Bret Hart. Put it Absolutely. That way. But I like how they scoped everything to be like, all right, you guys, we're not just getting ready for the biggest superstar. biggest superstar stage of them all in WrestleMania. We're getting ready for the future. And they're doing that every single pay-per-view coming up. They do it in every single city. A lot of people that you see right now in NXT are from the Nashville tryout, which I love that. The Kalanis and the Izzies and the Jasmines, they're from Nashville's tryout. They were at SummerSlam. They were at that tryout. They know what the deal is. They know what these people walking in the room for. They know that Shawn Michaels, they had to walk up to Shawn Michaels and say, hey, how you doing? And so imagine you get to that tryout and the first person you're meeting is one of the greatest of all time, which is Shawn Michaels. That is phenomenal. And I know he doesn't take it for granted. They've talked about him uprooting his entire life. In my opinion, good luck to the person who has to take that role. Some people say it's my boy CM Punk because he's been down there so many times with the youth. Some people think it's somebody else. You never know. There's superstars now that are going back and are like, you know what? Let's work with this young talent. If it ain't none on the main roster, let's work with the people who are next. So I just think that you say Shawn Michaels, and I have such respect for him because, like, not for nothing, the brand could have died with the person who it kind of like left behind. But now it's like you just talked about Trick being Diesel, right? Yeah. I immediately, like, people are like, oh, why doesn't he have we're going to get into all the people have their discretions about him. And I'm like, y'all got to live and let life. Like, he's trying to have fun. Like, y'all forget who's writing the stuff. So why not just let the stuff play out? Let's see what happens. Real quick, before we break down some backstage business, you and I are going to talk about, is there anything that stuck out to you during spring break-in or the aftermath of spring break-in going into last week's episode that you want to start with? Like any hidden crems. And I talk about backstage business because those hidden crems are not just crems that are just for you to show. They actually, I feel like a lot of the backstage crems have hinted to what's next. And we need to talk about that more because the future of NXT has indeed changed with draft.
Yeah. So of course, like, you know, as far as the hidden gem, my man was Javon Evans. I want to make sure this guy's name right. He is that dude. You know what I mean? Like, people have to recognize. You want to talk about a guy who is a dominant in the rough. You know what I mean? And there are plenty of, and that says a lot considering a place like NXT. But you want to talk about someone who can grab that. I don't know. I keep using Vince brass ring.
We say redacted.
Yeah, redacted. Yeah. So
there we go.
Anyway, I want to say that cliche brass ring, right? You know, like I can definitely tell he's someone who really wants it, and especially with the backlash that he got on Twitter and the support that he got afterwards. You know what I mean? And so now, I think because of that, you know, you can see him being propelled even more to the forefront than before. And another thing that stuck out, also, was with the SupeNova Sessions from last week. You know what I mean? And so just that plot twist and things like that. And I like how, you know, how there's just like that, you know, just that air of uncertainty and anticipation and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And how this sets up Trick's first rivalry as champion. And it's fascinating because not only his opponent, but also who is in his opponent's corner. I'll just say that. I think we all know. Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? I feel like I said, a lot of people had their discourse about it. It seems like all the good people that people have discourse about, they want a certain expectation out of them. That's the old school NXT. Listen, I can tell you first off, I'm the queen of comparison. I would love for there to be a moment where it's like, oh shit, this person is not like anybody else. Like, I would like that. Yeah. I feel like Javon is not like anybody else. So I'm always going to root for him. Got a glimpse of who this kid was at For the Culture. We attended in Philly. He was there. And listen, people could have easily walked up to him and be like, oh my God, you're on NXT, blah, blah. Oh my God, you're finally on TV. But he was around his friends. He was having fun. There were a lot of people who were just in the background. You know, Gail Kim was there. Ricky Starks was there. Nick Wayne was there. People were there having fun there at an indie event because that's where they came from. He's very much an excited young man who is excited that he's coming from where he's come from and he gets to do what he loves. And he's made it to the pinnacle of what wrestling is for most people, which happens to be the WWE. I'm here for him on that. I love that for him. To be quite honest, I can't wait to see more of him, and I'm glad we're gonna get to see more of him. So we should dive into it. But after the Supernova Sessions, that we're going to talk about, Javon Evans has seemed to made his new rounds into stepping on everyone's toes, and I don't think it's intentional. Again, I think it's somebody who's just excited to be there. He's stepping on the toes. We don't mind him. I can't stand Lexis King. We're gonna get into him too. But him and Lexis King are kind of doing the same thing as far as like, listen, sticking their nose where it don't belong or just giving their opinions where it's not valid. So I just need your thoughts on that. After the Supernova Sessions and they walked outside, Javon was just like, "Hey, like, you know, I don't like you coming from my boy Trick," which listen, Javon, word to the wise, there's some people that don't need defending. I don't think Trick needs to defend him, but we appreciate you because Trick also ironically had his back when the whole Twitter thing that you talked about happened. So it was good to see there. He was like, "You're not going to talk my boy Trick." But where do you think that's going, especially now that we know tonight you have Javon Evans versus Noam Dar in a one-on-one old-fashioned slobber knocker of a match?
Yeah, so now Javon Evans has thrown his name in the hat, whether he wanted to or not. And so, like I said, now that he's obviously could decide to defend the lead to, let's say, somewhere maybe the week after this, some like say Trick and Javon versus Noam and Oro, you know what I mean, something like that, or whatever the case may be. And so of course, so also you see like Javon versus Lexis King, things like that. And so so it's just like, of course Javon's a newcomer, but he has inadvertently put himself in the lion's den, if you will. You know what I mean, in the middle of a pretty heated storyline in and of itself, if not like the top storyline in NXT at the moment. You know what I mean, so this would definitely be a great launching pad for him. In more ways than one, to get his name out even more. I think you're muted. There you are.
Appreciate that, brother. It tends to do that when I feel like it. Real quick, want to know your think piece on someone being, he just turned 20. He is very young. You get them every once in a while. Thea Hell, same thing, was 20. Roxanne, 19. Started pretty young. Core Jade started pretty young. People who start a little younger in the business versus the people who have a little bit of seasoning on them and get the chance to come up. What is your take on that? Because for him to, like I said, it surprised me that he's nobody you want to hide in a box. Because if I'm become a very much a indie girl again. I've been watching. I just watched the Define match, the hour-long Joey, what's his name? Janela. Everybody's a fan of this Janela guy versus Nick Wayne, and they went as far as like using their old school music. Like they went as far and they did a hell of a match. If you not Googled it, YouTube it, it's a good match. But I've gotten into the indie and I got to see him do his thing at Rev Pro. I've gotten to see like a lot of what people see, and I think he's a phenomenal young man. But for him, what wows me and what I love for him at 19 to be at one of the biggest pay-per-views, one of the biggest I want to say pre-shows to WrestleMania weekend, which is NXT Stand Deliver, and for you to have your own package right there. They don't give that spot to anybody else because I joke around. NXT don't even give you a screen up top because like I've been to deadline. I had to like pull my neck because they don't give you a screen to watch. They don't put it on the big old back Titantron for you to see what's going on. If you miss a spot, you miss a spot. If you can see it from the ring, you see it from the ring. So for them to take that space and dedicate it to people like Julia who showed up, and then to give him his own package for him to be like, all right, your boy got a package. And I just love how he's naturally himself. But what do you think of the dynamics between someone who's a seasoned getting into WWE and someone who is young in the indies, getting to WWE, and basically making a name for themselves at an early on. And do you know any notable NXT youngins? I'm gonna call them youngins because they're still teenagers that have stuck out to you besides Javon Evans.
Oh man! All right. So to unpack this, I will say this. I think it's a perfect storm to have, to have the up and comers along with, like the indie veterans, if you will. You know what I mean? Like in terms of that mix, and I think it really is nothing new. To have up and comers along with established names. I mean, look at for example, you look at, let's say, OVW class, right? With this aggression era, you have the likes of, you have the likes of Cena. At that time, you had the likes of Cena. Orton was only 22 when he started, literally. Like I said, guys like that, put him in the ring with established veterans like the Kurt Angles, Shawn Michaels, Undertakers, and things like that. It's at least enough for them to grow up even sooner. You know what I mean? And so like I said, it's I think it's very, very essential for them to get in the mix like that. And so that way, like I said, that way it could, like I said, it really, like I said, it really elevates them. And it's great to see young talent like that showcase on that level. You know what I mean? Some people may think it's too much too soon, like Orton, but at the same time, I think because you have someone like HBK in their corner to make sure that that they don't venture off that path or whatever. Like I said, I think that, I'm sorry about that. I think they're in pretty good hands. And so and plus also it shows, I don't want to be long-winded about it, but I think it also shows how heavily a guy like Sean is in Triple H and the rest of them are invested in that future to have them heavily featured like that. That means a lot. You know what I mean? So the 19-year-olds of today are different from Sean when he started at 19. You know what I mean?
Right.
Completely different. And so, you know what I mean? So it's like I said, I think it's a great concept. So in terms of someone's outside of Javon, I can't really think of too many outside, other than mainly like the main ones that really have my eye on are him and Thea Hale. So like in terms of just at that point. So I hope I give like a super duper loaded answer. But I was trying to answer each and every point.
No, you got it. I definitely agree. Like I forget that Randy Orton at 22 was the youngest to have a world title. I forget that when John Cena, how old was he?
Well, he was 22 when he started. He was 24 when he became the champion.
Still.
Yes.
You're talking about the 2-year jump year world champion in a federation full of men who are mid, I want to say late 20, early 30, prancing around in suits. Rick didn't have a title, I think, till 29.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Early 30s, like 32 or something like that.
32. Yeah. Think about that for a second. Did
Right.
not have a Ric Flair, who is how many world titles you won? Your first one is late 30. So when you think about that, a lot of people have this concept of there's an age to start. Listen, we got the youngest, and then listen, we got the oldest. Right now, our world champion is what is he? Early 40? Damian Priest?
You talking about Damian Priest? Yeah, he's about 39, about 40 at this point now. Which is
now they're just saying, listen, to hell with the age. We care about what you could do, how devoted you are. Are you a workhorse? We're gonna get into this women's combine pretty soon, and shout out to Sarah Wilkins, who said that literally this is a workhorse title, and he didn't think that certain people were ready. And I had to look at the optics of who they put in that lineup, and I had to agree. Real quick, there was, you talk about Thea Hale, Jasmine Nye, who I like, by the way. She cut her first promo. She cut her first package because, as you guys know, JC Jane is now added to the list of injured. She broke her nose during a match, so she's gonna be out for a little bit. She's now added to the injured list, and Jasmine is coming to the mix to defend her best friend.
Yeah.
Okay. go off queen, defend her best friend and say that you broke her nose and it just proves how like you're not so sweet anymore. What are your thoughts on the promo? Because I you know me, I try not to be mean about people, but there's people that they should have left the brownies in the oven to cook a little bit more before they cut them when they were too warm. Am I making sense?
You're making perfect sense.
So what are your thoughts on this uncooked brownie? I'm gonna say that.
The dough inside has not been fully cooked. I will just say that. You know what I mean? And so it's still kind of unseasoned and whatever, uncooked. And so it's just like, I was like, what is this? Like, like trying to make a smear campaign about Thea Hale. And you know what I mean? So it's like, and I get it that you're defending your quote unquote BFF, if you want to call it that. But I'm like, it just felt like so manufactured. She's still got a lot of a lot of time to be
growing and stuff.
A lot of growing, a lot of time to be in the oven. You know what I mean? So that's all I have to say. It's not being mean, but it's being perfectly honest. And so and just trying to vilify Thea and things like that. You know what I mean? Like I said, you just create this, like her own little narrative or whatever it is. But I'm like, you got a long, long, long way to go. So I just leave it at that right there.
And it's interesting you say that she has a little bit to go, but like I said, like her and Kalani Jordan were in the same class. Like her and Izzy Dane were in the same class.
Wow.
So I look at those girls and I think that Izzy Dane is such like if they would just give her, they like cut off her momentum now because she's not with Kiana Jordan, which pains me because I think she has a long way to go. She's doing much better in ring ability wise, but when it comes to that girl opening her mouth, she has the attitude. If Trish and Victoria, decided they want to raise a kid together, it'll be Izzy Dane because she's just like both. Like how Victoria used to snap and have a little bit of attitude is how Izzy Dane is, especially when she was being introduced by Kiana James. Just gave me that like visual of it. She's very, very good on the mic. She's very, very good promo wise, and she's improved ring wise because her performance from the breakout didn't impress me, and I'm like, all right, she's not gonna make it. It makes sense, but now, like her match at when she was at Stand and Deliver, she didn't miss any spots, unlike some people we know. She did a pretty good job,
right,
in my opinion. But she comes from that same class, so when it comes to Jasmine, it could be that, hey, listen, we're putting you on a spot with a camera, we're giving you a script. She's not everybody is going to be able to read a script on the first leg. So I'm giving her grace this time because that's what it felt like. She was reading off a prompt. I needed her to have more emotion, but again, you're not going to get that emotion out of everybody because I want to say it's more like it's the first ride. So just let's give her the first ride. I wouldn't be surprised if she shows up tonight with mic in hand, spewing more like, you see this, that, and the third. Like not everybody can be Ariana Grace. Let's put it that way. People love Ariana Grace for her acting. Not everybody can be Ariana Grace. Some people got to be their own person. Speaking of Ariana Grace, do you think in the future we can get us Ariana Grace versus Chelsea Green match or a tag team? Because I thoroughly enjoyed that backstage segment, and then Gigi just standing there looking highly uncomfortable as hell. I gotta find that picture because she was just like, what am I sitting in between? And she looked like she was tortured. So I called it the Queen's Court. So what did we think of the Queen's Court meeting? The Queens was queening and meeting.
Yeah.
What do we think on that?
For one, Gigi Dolan was definitely fighting for her life in the middle of that, because she was definitely out of place because it's like you're in between mirror images of each other basically, and so and the thing that you talk about being the queen of comparison, I'm pretty much the king of comparison, and not always in the best way, but especially if it works when it comes to the wrestling comparisons, right? I think that's why you and I, great minds almost like think alike pretty much, like great like-minded. And so I could definitely see an Ariana Grace versus Chelsea Green, program on NXT. It was certainly enough to really, as it's meant to elevate someone like Ariana. and just give them more credibility, and just to like like I say, just like I say, like I said, just to elevate her even more. And she definitely has a personality to match someone like Chelsea anyway. You know what I mean? So, like I said, pretty much like a doppelganger, if you will. There it is. There it is. There it is right there. That's it.
It was just like, so
Oh man.
here's my science behind this, right? Like, it just looks fucking amazing. I'm sorry, am I my language? Oh wait, am I past?
No,
Yeah, I'm past 30-mile mark where I can start cursing. It just looks fucking amazing. Like, and then you see homegirl just looking like she wants to claw her ears out, and like Chelsea, everybody calls her like the Karen-like character. I just think she's somebody who's like an over-exaggerated influencer. Like, really dramatic, like, this moment should be about me, this is about me, like, everybody came here to really see me, that type of thing. And then you have Ariana Grace, who's just the queen. It's just like the queen who's supposed to be the queen, and then this poor girl is like stuck in the middle.
Yeah, like it's
like, I need to get away from this.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do?
Oh my gosh, it's like being stuck in between the two mean girls. You know what I mean?
It really is.
Yeah, it really is. You know what I mean? So like you feel Lindsay Lohan's pain from that movie. But yeah, that's really what it, the glorified prom queen, along with the annoying, super annoying YouTube influencer, girl, whatever.
Oh my god, remember that era of like all the influence? That's how you could tell we're old. Because I remember the YouTube VidCon frenzy, like when the Tana Mojos and the Jake Paul and the original Logan Paul, they used to do dumb crap with his friends. Yeah. That era of YouTube, that's what Chelsea gives me. Like, she gives me early stage beauty influencer.
Seriously, she does. She does. And if anything, like her and Grayson Waller, Austin Theory are all pretty much one the same.
Remember Tyler Breeze?
Yeah, Tyler Breeze as well. You know what I mean? Like, they're all like in the same boat, all in the same category. Like the influencers that just get on your last nerve. Like, do I have to see this on my timeline again and again? Like, for real. Like, why is this keeps showing up when it's the first thing that pops up on my IG? That's how that is. You know what I mean? That's exactly how they are. And they're and Chelsea and Ariana are a match made for each other.
They are.
Yeah,
they are. And it's like, as much as we want to be annoyed with influencers, you're looking at Chelsea or someone like Ariana, you're like, oh my god, I can't stand them. But what bronzer are they using? Like, oh my god, I can't stand them. But what kind of sneakers are they wearing today? So it's just like, a lot of people do love them some Chelsea Green.
Yeah, they do.
I like her character because, like, listen, not for nothing, Chelsea Green is somebody that should have been that girl. Like, her first run wasn't done that just. She got released. But look at what she made of herself. She's done amazing things since then. She went back to TNA. She's done Lucha Underground. She's done, her little stint to AEW. She went on the indie route, like, even to the point where her husband, she was like, listen, I have all the connections for the indies. I think you should just do that. I think you should just do yourself, get better, and see where it goes from there. And now she's back in WWE. She's basically like, what does she call Adam Pearce? Prickly something. I was just like, yo, who comes up with that? Like, where do you get that?
Man.
So it's just like, it fits. And Ariana Grace, same thing. Like, when she did the Stand Deliver pre-show and she was just like not on topic, I can see the little hairs on Sam Roberts' head trying to grow because he was so stressed out about it. But it was just like, you need stuff like that. Like, people, like, we're gonna get into Lexis King because he did have a match with Duke Hudson. He does, like I say, he gets in everybody's business. He does give Tiger King vibes. But thoughts on him? Because like I said, listen, I'm here for the mess tone. Like, you want to continue the mess tone, do mess tone. Yeah, because I'm here for it.
Hey, look, same here. Honestly, I'm all for it. Hey, if you want to, if you want to be on that type of time, I'm good for it. But the thing is, also back to the Chelsea thing. Even with her character, I do give her credit. I give her respect for how far she's come after strings of injuries and being released and everything like that, and then like I said, being back where she is and making this character work. She has, she's gone, full 9, the full 10 with this. Like she's gone, like all the way to the end zone with this character. And
Yeah.
so, so I like I said, I definitely will at least, like I said, at least give a kudos to that. And just like Prakash saying it, on the chat, she could be Ariana's mentor in terms of that. But yeah, like I said, as far as like Duke Hudson, I mean, if you want to be on that type of time, hey, I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it.
And I literally think like you think of like, I don't know how Piper never gonna feel about that, but Chelsea just seems like a girl's girl. Like she understands the grind of being she's in the indie circuit, right?
Yeah.
So she understands the grind of listen, you're not gonna get here by doing A, B, C, E, F, G. I think we have the potentials of a locker room leader. Like you hear, for example, about Becky Lynch. It was interesting to hear how in so many ways Becky has helped a lot of the NXT girls without us even knowing she helped the NXT girls. Like, she gave the title to Lyra. It's very obvious, but we didn't know that her and Tiffany Stratton actually had like backstage mentorship one-on-one conversation before their big match. And mind you, it was Tiffany's biggest match at a pay-per-view it was at No Mercy, but it was still main event status. Like, how many girls from NXT gonna be main event status, I didn't know that because Roxanne had felt such a shift in the people booing her that Becky was one of the people to like console her and have her back when that moment happened. So when you look at stuff like that, I'm just like, that's all the combination of a locker room leader. And then I hear stories about how Chelsea's helped other girls, how her and Piper actually lived together at one point. How she's actually like kind of been giving a little bit of advice to the people who have gotten released. It's giving locker room leader behavior. I like it. I like it a lot.
I like that too.
It's just something that I need to see more of. And again, it's just I don't care. I like her. She's an influencer that I could deal with.
Yeah.
When it comes to Chelsea.
Oh, definitely. Like an influencer in a good way. As far as like what you just talked about backstage. I mean? So we need more of that. Like I said, of course we know how much weight, the likes of Becky, Charlotte, Bianca pull, but also like to an extent like even Nia as well. But also like one of the things you gotta look at is likes of Chelsea, or Piper who relate, like you said, to those who have been released and give them advice, and so that's very vital when it comes to like boosting someone's morale. I mean? And so to hear that, I never knew that until you just mentioned it. So my respect for Chelsea's gone up even more.
Real quick, so gonna get back into one more piece of backstage business. I'm gonna leave it behind though until we get into the matches that happened, because I do want to talk about that amazing main event that was Roxanne Perez versus Chelsea Green. So big takeaway. Did talk a lot of crap about how Roxanne need to be on some devious shit because she's a heel now. I don't want to see any more pop rock pins. I don't want to see any more. I don't want to see any more of that boppy team bop type shit. And she's delivered. She's delivered. Chelsea Green is probably the one of the most skilled you're going to get as someone who's not a face, but not a heel either. Somebody who's just annoying. Any interesting points from that match that stuck out to you the most? As far as in-ring skill for both ladies, to be honest.
I would say that that Chelsea's in-ring skill is a little underrated, if you will. Now, of course, I'm not, like I said, and when I say that, I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not putting her on the same platform as as the upper echelons, if you will, know who they are, right? I mean, like your Biancas and Charlottes and all of them. I'm not saying that she's on that platform, but at the same time, she could get more credit for her in-ring work, like outside of her gimmick. You know what I mean? So I think a match like this shows what she's capable of outside of the whole influencer thing. And and of course, as far as Roxanne, I believe that her work speaks for itself. You know what I mean? And so of course, like I said, she's definitely I would say a proven commodity. It's only a matter of time before she ends up getting called up herself. I think it was sorry about that. I think it was necessary for her to get the title back right now instead of getting called up right away, so that she could have more time to really carry that division. And
Yeah.
So like I said, I definitely like the way that match went. Like I said, I'm glad that Roxanne won. It's funny. One more thing. It's funny how you mentioned Roxanne as far as being a heel and things like that. But yeah, at Stand and Deliver, you and I were both there. We know that that the fans were actually on Roxanne's side, even though she was a heel. They were actually on her side, and I know I was on her side as well.
Team that Roxanne. Part,
yes,
I was too. To be quite honest, because it's interesting. I put that clip of people have their common thoughts on Lyra, and their common thoughts on Lyra is just that she's not bad. She's there. She's a worker. I like that they put the women's champion. I'm always going to like they put the women's championship on her because they needed a girl that was going to say, you want to go? We can go. Like you had Mandy Rose who held onto that title for so long. And Mandy Rose, if you notice with Mandy Rose, only put up that if you want to go, you can go with people that she felt like she would have a good time in the ring with. In my opinion, like I feel like she knew she had to put the best of the best up against somebody like Mita Satomura and Blair Davenport, who was the best of the best of their brand, right? But they give the energy of you want to go, we can go, and I love that. I feel like the same thing with Roxanne is gonna happen. Like now that she's in the listen, if you think you could take it away from me, sis, go right ahead. And that's what I like that the women who have had that opportunity had. In NXT to have that women's title, they're giving that energy to like, listen, if you think you can take this from me, try me. Like, and that's the out of the confidence you need to have. When it comes to Roxanne versus Chelsea, it very much gave like, y'all don't think I can do this. I'm gonna put people away.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put people away. I'm gonna put everybody you like away. I'm gonna put the people that you don't think that I could put away. I'm gonna put them all on the shelf. And if we get more of that on a consistent basis, I think we'll be good.
Yeah.
I think we'll feast very. But Justin said we feasted. I know everybody wants Black and Gold era back, but I think you got to give it a chance. Like I said, the cook got to cook. Give it a chance. To see what's happening.
That's what it is. And
what the specials are.
Yeah, I think that this version of NXT, I know everybody wants Black and Gold, but I think it's a combination of what was it, 2.0, I believe it was, like the one with all the different colors and stuff, but it still has all the colors in there anyway, along with the Black and Gold. So it's kind of like it's a blended mix. It's like an even balance, if you will. And so it's just like you, as I always say, like I trust HBK's direction. I trust Sean's vision, his process. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. You know what I mean? Because I trust that like I said, I trust Shawn Michaels' vision. I say that all the time. You know what I mean? So I trust that he knows where to go from here. You know what I mean? So it's just like I said, when people want to complain and be anxious and all this type of stuff, I keep saying, you know what I mean? Like I said, as long as you have, of course, not perfect. Don't get me wrong. Nothing's perfect. But at the same time, I always say this, like, look who's right. So he's already playing he's playing chess when everybody else wants to play checkers.
Right. Real quick. So we're gonna I'm gonna cut a quick video real quick. Give us some time to recuperate. We're gonna get into some matches. Right. My favorite part of the show. I do a lot of spit talking right about now. Can't wait to get into more matches. Gonna talk about Roxanne's heels in just a little bit. Gonna be a quick 53. And we'll be right back to get into the nitty-gritty of the how do we get here points. Amazing stuff. I want to talk about the comeback of the Cardiac Kid himself, the kid from the West. Mr. West Lee want to talk about how Fallon's first. Definitely going to talk about why Lash would call Trick really Wonka and Babe. We're going to get into all that. And then of course when we come back, we're going to talk about how the women showed up and showed out. And I do have some questions for you, Vaughn, on some women's stuff. I do have some questions for you. So Be right back after we cut this break. it's gonna make me hard to hate her. And it's like I said, like it literally like, and I understand, like and Josh was with me when I said it. I said, girl, like, and you lost your belt, and again, what is wet, and the earth the sun is on one side and not on the other. We know all
Right.
this. Like, you know,
Like-
there's war in other countries. Like, we know, like, get to the
Exactly.
point, like, wait, what you about to do? And then she finally did it.
In that promo, even when she was like, I lost my title and like I passed out, and for 12 months, I was like, okay, so bitch, we've seen so many people lose their title and not get another shot back. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I like, and this is when I mean I need her to really be healed. I almost need her to change her moveset. I want Carmelo too. Also, I'm like, I don't want to see all that exciting high flying shit. Just start beating bitches down. Make me mad.
Yeah.
Stop
I need you to pull up.
Like,
It's gonna make me hard to hate her. And it's like I said, like it literally like, and I understand, like and Josh was with me when I said it. I said, girl, like, and you lost your belt, and again, what is wet, and the sun is on one side and not on the other. We know all this. Like, you know, there's war in other countries. Like, we know, like, get to the point, like, wait, what you about to do? And then she finally did it.
In that promo, even when she was like, I lost my title and like I passed out, and for 12 months, I was like, okay, so bitch, we've seen so many people lose their title and not get another shot back. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I like, and this is when I mean I need her to really be healed. I almost need her to change her moveset. I want Carmelo too. Also, I'm like, I don't want to see all that exciting high flying shit. Just start beating bitches down. Make me mad.
Yeah.
Stop
I need you to pull up.
Like,
listen, we weren't none of the things that we say are a reflection of what WWE is trying to do. But like, if we feel the way we're gonna say, I don't know if that was a good disclaimer. I don't know if people are gonna believe me, because I talked about it. Like, sis, if you're gonna be about that action, Jackson. You know. Speaking of action, Jackson, what segment do you want to jump into? Because again, so much happened. If we want, we can either start with the women's combine. What was your take on that? What did you like? What did you see? Can you tell who should be your next NXT North American champion from that? Because I have some takeaways on what it was about, and what it was for. So what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so as far as the women's combine, I think the ones who stood out the most were Lash Legend and Jada Parker. So, you know what I mean? So it's just like, it's hard for me because it's just like, I want one of them to be, you know what I mean, to be the NXT Women's Champion, and another one to be the North American Champion. So it's just like, on one end, I want Lash to be the main women's champion, even though she's never held. I think she's never even held a title. So I could say, you know, just starting off, she would be the, like I said, I still on one end, I want her to be the main women's champion, and Jada to be the North American champion. But I would go Lash first because she hadn't had the belt yet, and then move her way up, right? And then Jada could be the the North American champion after that. So I think those are two of my like standouts when it came to that that women's combine. Because I mean, when I say that they to me were like on another like level as far as like the athleticism, it's insane. You know what I mean? Because Jada's giving me like remind me of like younger NXT Beyond in a way. You know what I mean? So and like I said, just Lash Legend. I mean, she's physically that speaks for herself. Look at what she did with Otis. You know what I mean? So yeah. I'm not surprised how impressive she was at that combine. So
it's almost interesting because I feel like she is someone I would have definitely picked to be in the running for the women's championship, because like, girl, like, not for nothing, you should have been champion a while ago. Don't know what the deal is with that, quote unquote, but I'm hoping once they see you in the combine or see what you could do as far as that, like maybe they're just gonna be like, all right, fine, like, let's give you the belt, let's give you the chance you should have had in the first place. I think that's and that's my fair opinion. I'm gonna dive into it why I think they're probably going this route. I don't see Lash being in Metaphor for that long.
No.
I said it at Stand Deliver. I think you and I even talked about it, to be quite honest. During that weekend, I don't see her being in as nice as much as I love me some Metaphor. I love me some Noam Dar. I love me them as a group. I said when I met them, I said it to them. I love what they did Stand Deliver. They were the perfect hosts. They have such chemistry among all four of them. But this was just the last launching pad for somebody like Lash Legend. She needs to show the people what she could do on her own before she does anything else, in my opinion, because they need somebody with that title. You got to be somebody that's on your own, or you got to be somebody that's going to use your team to the full advantage to literally wreak havoc. Like, it has to be, somebody has to do for her what they were doing for Noam Dar when it came to the Heritage Cup. And I know it's not the same thing, right? But somebody has to do that for Lash, whether it be her and Jakar, which I personally would not have a problem with, because I love me some Jakar Jackson. It needs to be on that level. It needs to be on a like a almost with her. I don't want to use comparisons. I'm always disclaim that, but I need it to be on like a Lay Cool type energy feel, if that makes any sense.
Makes perfect sense. Like
one person that's going to make sure like this belt is staying with us. Or like how no Quarter Catch crew is like, listen, the Heritage Cup is staying with us, you know? So the Combine, in my opinion, and shout out to my big brother Josh in the building, as per usual. Josh, thank you. Speaking of that, the Combine, like I said, we talked about tryouts, were literally, the Combine is an NXT tryout.
It is.
So
yeah.
How your thoughts on that?
Combine is an NXT tryout.
No. It is. It literally everything they did in that Combine is what they do during tryout weekend.
It is, yeah. So, so like I said, as far as the Combine, you know, with what they, you know, with their performances, like I said, I definitely enjoy the concept. You know what I mean? So at least you could get, it's like a litmus test to see, you know, to see who you want to invest in. And so I think the more impressive that you are, I think they're going to take more of that into consideration. And so, you know, like I said, with how impressive Lash was, like I said, if there's anybody who I'm going to say it again, let me clarify one more time. If there's anybody who I would put the main title on, eventually in the long term, it would be her, because she's come a very, very long way from having that losing streak. I mean, like seriously, I still remember that. You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm a huge supporter of her right now.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? And plus also with I totally agree. Like the thing is, Metaphor isn't really doing her any favors when it comes to, with all due respect, like, you know, just when it comes to like propelling her to where she needs to be.
Right.
It was great. It was great for a season, but now with, you know, with Trick in the mix, this could end up being, you know, being the scapegoat, like the reason, like, you know, that they use to eventually move her away from them. You know what I mean? So if anything, this would definitely be, you know, their excuse to be like, all right, their justification, if you will, be like, you know what, we've been wanting to do this. We've been looking at it for a while. Like this would be this you know, this is the perfect scapegoat, like a, you know, route to take. And so yeah, you know what I mean. So as far as that, like I said, you know, the Combine, I definitely enjoy the concept. And like I said, when it comes to Lash, I believe that this, you know, like ever since Trick got involved, I was like, yeah, her time with Metaphor is numbered.
Yeah, because it's like, and it's weird. I like where they let it marinate a little bit. They let Trick have his moment with the belt to win and be focused on the match, and then they were like, "All right, Lash, like people don't want to forget about the kiss. We got to put you back into that because people are not going to stop talking about it." And listen, people are like, they have their discourse, and I can understand because they're so used to somebody like the Czar, you know, that was Mr. Ilya Dragunov. They're so used to like the Carmelo Hayes that was like, listen, we can play, but I'm finna prove to you why I'm your champion. That you go put your shades on.
I am him.
So they're so used to somebody who hasn't played as champion for a while, like even Braun Breaker. Like Braun Breaker played for a little bit, and people forget that. Like you, as champion, you the top of the brand. You're supposed to make yourself attractive. That's why we have something like. That's why we had the him era, right?
Yeah,
it had to be attractive. That's why we had, the Johnny Wrestling movement. That's why we had the Undisputed era, the Adam Cole baby era. That's why they were entertaining to you all. I don't see the issue of him trying to get the Sherry to his Macho Man. I don't see the issue. Like I don't see the problem. I'm just like, what is this discourse about? Like, oh, he doesn't wear the belt around his waist, and like.
The Rock didn't wear the belt around his waist all the time either. Stone Cold never wore that belt around his waist as WWF champion. So what are we talking about?
Sorry, but Triple H in a suit didn't wear that championship around his waist either. Unless you want him to do Playgirl and get naked like Mr. Shawnee, he ain't gonna do none of that with the belt. He ain't gonna pull a Logan Paul and take it in the shower. Y'all better be happy with what y'all getting. He's sitting there coming out. Listen, no shirt, vest type Trick Williams, if that's the gift that I'm gonna give, I will take the gift. Give me the gift. I don't even want the receipt because I ain't gonna return it. So if that's what I'm supposed to get out of him as a champion right now because he's having fun, just accept it. Like he has to find his next opponent. Let's get into SupeNova Sessions because this, if you didn't know, Vaughn, this is Super Episode 11 of Watch Rappers NXT.
Oh, no.
So I do want to get into it.
Let's go.
SupeNova Sessions, right?
Yes.
We get to what is in the envelope. And what is in the envelope is the fact that Noam Dar didn't really have he had his leg underneath the rope when the pin happened. And that was the pin that would have secured him a title shot, according to Noam Dar, for the NXT championship. Trick's like, really? That's what you had in your envelope? I thought it was something else.
Yeah.
He said that he wasn't the daddy. But that didn't confirm nor deny that there wasn't a situation that would have possibly made him a daddy, right? So you feel me on this? So everybody's caught off guard and distracted from the fact that and I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Noam Dar has a point. I don't want to say that because I feel like that hurts my soul. Because we wouldn't have had the amazing reaction in spring. I would have had the most amazing birthday that I had watching Trick Williams win that championship on April 23rd. Let the book show. Great things happen on the 23rd of April. I would have never gotten that. There you go. I would have never gotten that if we had noticed that happened to Noam Dar. And now that he's catching it, he's like, listen, you owe me. And he was good to play on that. But yeah, but can we see Noam Dar as your NXT champion?
No, not right now. I'm sorry. And no offense to him at all. But if it was meant to happen,
not laughing at you. It just seems like everybody I want to be champion for the last 3 shows, they've shut me down. Like one person told me I was tripping in the comments about calling Chelsea Green a locker room leader. So I'm just like, well, damn. Like I'm trying to give everybody a chance. Maybe I can't. Be
I mean, Chelsea ain't exactly Undertaker when it comes to locker room leadership or anything like that.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
But the thing about it is that, like I said, no shade to Noam Dar, but this is Trick's time. This is his season. You know what I mean? And so, honestly, if it were meant for Noam Dar to be further up, for him to get that win, Lash would have done something in that match to help him win. But because she didn't, I'm just saying it happened the way it did. And to be honest with you, since you mentioned the envelope. The week before when I saw the envelope, when she was like, next week we're gonna tell everybody the truth. The envelope automatically, I thought about Maury. I thought it was, maybe it was gonna be a DNA test, paternity test, and I'm like,
I thought it was gonna be like some footage of him like paying Tony D'Angelo money because everybody keep going to Tony D'Angelo to do some sneaky shit. So I thought it was like him paying, like Tony D'Angelo some money to give it to Carmelo or whatever, or pay somebody to get Carmelo draft. I I don't know. I just be watching the show. So I didn't know what was in that envelope. And then it made it interesting because it went into some innuendos. And instead of Lash focusing on what she was supposed to be doing, she got caught off guard by saying that she like Kit Kat bar. Sis, we did not need to know none of that.
Lash Hot Flash, that was. Yeah, I said Lash Hot Flash. That's what that was. But anyway, and if you notice one more thing, not to add gasoline to the fire. If you notice that, if you look carefully, Trick put his hand on Lash's, stomach, on her belly, whatever. I was like, oh, wait a minute.
I was just like, what is happening? Like,
exactly.
Where do we go from here?
Love NXT, baby. Love NXT. That's what I'm telling you. People say that Mello don't miss. Trick don't miss either. Nothing but net. That was slam.
He said, and by the way, Trick really ain't that ain't sir.
I'm just saying.
Sir.
Now, if they did have a kid, that'd be a natural athlete come out.
That would be a tall ass. That would be football, basketball. Listen, the Olympics. You know how many the possibilities are endless. Let's keep it with a stack.
Exactly.
The possibilities of what that kid's gonna listen. Future WWE superstar. I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
I'm trying to tell you, they ain't gonna miss no draft.
Yeah.
But it was interesting.
Both of them.
And that's why I said making metaphor who they are, right? It was interesting to see even Jakara. Like Jakara, just like, I'm so over the both of you. Like, this is gross what y'all are doing. Like, she was just like, when they was like, what was the part when he said he was like, aren't you gonna tell him how you used to call me Trick really wrong? Because she was like, I'm gonna be sick. Like she was like, I'm be sick. And Old Mensa looked like he wanted to have he looked like his heart fully stopped when Lash called Trick babe. He looked like his heart was gonna jump like in the cartoon. Like it was gonna jump out and do like, what is going on? And what's name was like, Lash, we're a family. Why don't you tell us what's going on? And Noam just looked so pissed off. He was like, enough of this shit. Delivers the hard backhand elbow, takes the title, looks at Lash, looks at the title. He's like, I'm done playing games with both of you.
Yeah.
Let's get to the nitty gritty of what is supposed to be mine right now, and that's the NXT Championship.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, you said that you don't see Noam Dar as the next one taking it. Obviously, I don't either. But I want to flash back into something that happened before that whole segment happened. You got a glimpse of Trick Williams on night 2 of Spring Break-In, looking at Obafemi.
Yeah.
So I want to get into your thoughts on that, and it's going to tie into the return, like I said, of the Cardiac Kid. That's going to tie into what I want to talk about that. So your thoughts on that small interaction. What does that tell you?
I don't want to use copyright infringement, but to paraphrasing the words of Public Enemies, long-term booking.
There we go. There we go. Shout out to them.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? So, but like the thing about it is that no segment is wasted. No moment is wasted if you learn anything about WWE. Like I said, it's like the seeds are planted. You know what I mean? Like it's already there, especially when it comes to, we're in this renaissance of black champions and all this other type of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And things like that. So now it's like it's a common thing more than ever before. So like I said, even in terms of Trick versus Obafemi, that will be something very exciting. I look forward to seeing. As we call Obafemi was one person called, I think we call him like Nigerian Gunther or something like that.
Shout out to Cass.
Yeah, Cass. Cass said that.
Cass, he said that. He called him Fufu Gunther, which is completely accurate. Both of them are Nigerians, so they're allowed to say that to each other. It's not a microaggression. They're both from the same mother and country, so don't come for him. Exactly. He's 1,000% right. The minute he said that, I had to thank him. I'm like, I thank you for saying that, because I was thinking the same thing. But it coming from you sound better than me. Yeah. So, but it's definitely a looking glass moment that I am thoroughly enjoying, because we're also on the cusp of Heat Wave.
Yes.
So let's say that I don't think Obafemi, in my opinion, is going to lose that title anytime soon, unless it's to the person that we're going to talk about next. which is the return of Wesley, who is on his Roxanne energy, but not in the complaining type sense. He's now fighting for the championship or fighting for the spot he never really had a chance to give up in the first place. His injuries, really intense injuries, by the way, like really, 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 really intense. I think he had spinal fusion surgery, basically. For those of you who don't understand, there's certain nerves in the body. He said he couldn't feel certain joints in his leg. He had his lower back nerves basically conjointed back together, and that takes time of recovery. He is one of the best to ever have that title. I'll be really honest with you, and he held on to it with the iron. He held on to it with an iron fist. To see, people thought it was a work because remember it was in the midst of the whole like Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams, who attacked Trick era. Everybody thought it was in the midst of that. I don't. Now that I know what he was actually going through, it was a lot. It was a lot. Makes me feel sad for him, but also makes me just as excited to see him back doing it like he never left. Your thoughts on the learning of what he was going through?
Man, I didn't know it was that deep, that intense. Side note, I did meet I did meet Wesley last year at Wallermania in Los Angeles. Nice. So I do have a picture with him. Yeah, thank you. And so the thing is, I'm always going to be like Team Wesley over here. You know what I mean? So no Wesley slander at all. But I figured it was like a knee injury, leg injury, or something like. I didn't know that it was that severe. So for him to come back the way that he did, once again, this is literally Shawn Michaels career mode. Because if you know anything about it, thankfully Wes didn't have to spend all that type of time out. But I'm just saying, if you know anything about the track of Shawn's career, is that obviously one of the things that he's known for is having an injury, a spine injury, a back injury. And so for Shawn to defy the odds the way he did, and then you look at someone like Wes Lee, I'm like, so much of this is history repeating itself. Shawn's career repeating itself in the form of people in NXT. But I'm glad that Wes is back because we needed that. You know what I mean? Like this was, like I said, like I said, Wes is a huge inspiration. You know what I mean? Like he held that belt with the iron fist. At this point, until like I said, until Obafemi says otherwise, Wes is the best NXT North American champion I've ever seen.
In my opinion, I agree with you. Like it's hard for me not to, because like you got somebody who's so passionate about the business, and you got somebody who's so passionate no matter what they do in the ring, that it's hard to miss that passion by a mile. Like it's very hard to miss it, right? You always want to think about the fact that you get generational talent coming out of NXT. He's one of them. So we missed him. I loved seeing him. I was happy that it wasn't as severe as some people whose injuries who could no longer wrestle. We also loved and adored. It wasn't as severe as that injury. It's something that he can now bounce back from. Do we see him as being your next NXT champion someday? Not doing the whoop that trick era, but just
right era. Yeah. Maybe after Trick gets the belt, everything relinquishes the belt and loses to Oba, or at least like I guess on Trick's own terms. But I would like to see Wes, like get a shot of not become, like I said, the NXT champion in his own time. You know what I mean? But it's just like because of how popular Trick is right now, he's the bigger draw and things like that. So it's kind of like we gotta see how Trick's, this era pans out for him. But with that being said, I think because Trick is so charismatic, I don't know if Wes gonna get it on his watch. Who knows? Right. Might, you know what I mean? Like they may have a feud. Who knows? Whatever. But yeah, like I said, when we talk about as far as who's NXT next, Wes is in that conversation in terms of being a future NXT champion.
I think that is going to be hard to make Trick a heel after, like, not for nothing. I can't see him being on the heel on the magnitude of what Carmelo did become heel, because as soon as you said that, I flashed back to literally watching Vengeance Day, and my mind in my head, I'm just like, they're really gonna do this tonight. All the clues led up to it. It's just how it was done that I was just like, the crowd is going to hate him if he goes out there and turns on his friend. And in the way he did about it, like he was like, he went into the kiss my ass, you made me this way, flipped them off, did the whoop that trick, taunted trick. I can I see it out of Trick Williams right now? Trick Williams for a while, and I said this while it was him and Trick Mellow Gang. He was the hype. He really was the hype man, but he was a good ass hype man. He was the man that made you, whether Carmelo was heel or face, he drew attention and drew out the weaknesses of all of Carmelo's opponents, right? He's doing that now for himself.
Yes.
So for him to go and be a heel, I feel like he would be the most hilarious heel on the planet. But do I see him breaking the neck, or do I see him injuring a knee here and there? I don't know. We gonna see what happens.
I don't know. And
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. And also one more thing. Also, it's funny that you mentioned Trick and Mello, because I'm literally wearing the Black Wrestling Mello and Trick shirt.
Oh, you have one too?
Yes.
Oh my favorite shirt.
Yeah.
You have it in black, and I haven't worn mine yet.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I thought you had worn it at Standard.
So, remember, they have a gray one, a black one. Okay. So I have the gray one.
Oh.
So I wore the gray one to Stand Deliver. And it's funny, shout out to Steph Hardy, and if she's ever gets a chance to watch. We matched unintentionally, but you could tell that's because the moment was so intense for us. And I told Brother Math this, that like I was not going to wear this shirt to Stand Deliver. I'm sorry. There was not any other way that I was not. There's no way.
I told, and as a matter of fact, I told him myself, I was like, look, you know what I mean? If nothing else, you know, my man, my word, I made sure that I was going to wear this shirt, especially at Stand Deliver. And I think because we were had a time crunch between Stand Deliver and night one, I ended up wearing this to night one as well. But the thing about it is that, like I said, you know, like I got both the gray shirt and the black shirt. You know what I mean? So I was like, you know, let me go ahead and just rock the black one. And so like I said, I didn't know that you just had the gray one. But anyway, like I said, as far as back to the Trick and Mello thing, like I said, Mello is literally an R&B villain. Like if Devontae was a bad guy, if Devontae was a villain,
why do y'all call him that?
He is, you know, he is evil Devontae. This dude is literally evil Devontae from Jodeci, from the Cry For You video where they are in the desert. He is literally that guy.
You know what? He doesn't give me that though.
Well, when he turned on Trick, he gave off that vibe. He really did.
I think more or less. Okay, y'all have that, because I don't know how.
I'm sorry. I mean to like.
No, it's funny. No. You can argue. That's what this platform is for. I'm never going to kick you off because you oppose what I said. But like y'all, this R&B villain type thing, you make it seem like all the guys in the R&B LO were bad guys. It was probably only two of them. One of them can't even play his music on the radio. Yeah. But it was Auntie Cookout music for a while. Now you can't play it at all, right? But it's just like damn, you know what? I'm gonna run with it.
You got R&B faces and you got R&B heels.
I hear you.
Mello was on the heel side at the end of his NXT run.
Right.
Doing what he did the Trick. I'm telling you, that was like Devontae mixed with 1993 Shawn Michaels. Straight up. I'm pretty sure Steph Hardy, if she was on the chat, she probably agreed with that as well.
It's funny. I had to break it down to someone who wanted it in reality TV term, and I told him it was a share equivalent of what happened when Tommy turned on Ghost in Power, and they were like, "Oh," I was like, "Yeah, you put shades on. If you put the shades on Tommy, that's what you're gonna get."
Certainly, straight up. And
when 50 tried to get rid of Ghost, that type of deal.
And I remember at Wally Mania we had your shades on and all black, you know, like the him cosplay. And I remember that one episode. What was it? I think it was on.
It was the day after, and I was in all black for the whole week.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. It was like, it was the day after.
So everybody was like, "It's a funeral." I was like, "For me, it is."
Yeah, exactly. I posted the 93 Shawn Michaels picture on Twitter. I was like, that was the energy that she was on, because straight up, that's what it was. You and Krista
All I
both
was
had
missing was
shades.
gum.
You and Krista had on shades too that day too. I was like, this is hilarious. Yeah.
But real quick, we're gonna dive into my favorite segment of all. We're gonna talk about this women's combine. We're gonna talk about the 4 women's matches that happened on NXT. For those of you who say women don't pull ratings, they still topped the last week's rating. They still were in the same envelope as last week's NXT show, even though NXT was, a spring break and 4 TV PLE. They tied those ratings and they have 4 women's matches. So those of you who say nobody watched women's wrestling, choke on it. Because apparently a lot of people watched it. Real quick, gonna dive into what out of the 4 matches, which match did you enjoy the most? Because you had a lot. You had we had Michin versus we had Michin in action. We had Fallon Henley and Kalani Jordan in action. We had Shayna Baszler go up against Carmen Petrovic. We had a lot of women's matches. It was my shout out to my girl Keeks, who said it was a lot of women business. That's what she would say. She says it about AEW. Shout out to her. So it was a lot of business going on for the ladies. What match stuck out to you the most? We even had Jada Parker in action. So what match stuck out to you the most out of all of those?
Other than the Roxanne versus Chelsea Green match,
yes.
I would say that
so we have 5 altogether. We had 4 altogether, right?
Yeah, So like I said, that one right there, like I said, that main event. But outside that, I definitely like that the Fallon Henley and Kalani Jordan match. You know what I mean? That like I said, like I said, that was, I don't know what it was. There was something about that one that that like I said that definitely had an impact. But like I said, I'll say that's next to to me the Roxanne main event NXT Women's Championship match. But yeah, you know what I mean. Like I said, women are the backbone even when it comes to women's wrestling. Even when it comes to wrestling, oftentimes many times they even have better matches than the men, both in NXT and on the main roster. And it's coming from a man. I'm just saying.
You could do listen. This is my staple. I'd be like, I'm just saying. 2. You only had 2 men's matches and a segment or 2, and then 4 women's matches after.
Exactly.
I personally invested on when they're going to give me more Carmen Petrovic because I like her. She's grown. She's also another young lady that's evolved. She evolved greatly. She did great to me in the breakout tournament. I like her gimmick. It's given Uma. It's given what it's supposed to give, which is Uma Thurman. Kill Bill, final boss type shit. I love it. It even gives me great hope with this Fallon Henley heel turn.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean,
Fallon comes first is what she's saying. I
mean, Fallon is one of the scream queens of NXT, so along with Thea, you know what I mean. So to make her a scream queen in the heel, that adds even more, just adds even more flavor, if you will.
Exactly.
To the recipe. So like I said, in terms of a Fallon heel turn, hey, I ain't mad at that at all. You know what I mean? And also like with that was the NXT Underground match that had Lola Vice and Natalia. You know what I mean? So as far as that wasn't wasn't bad either. You know what I mean? So but like I said, the Fallon heel turn though, I said, hey, look, time to pull the trigger at some point.
It's time. I definitely agree.
Doing enough with Josh Briggs, so yeah.
Listen, I feel like they got a lot to do with Josh Briggs. I feel like Josh Briggs just needs more time to take that North American Championship off of Obafemi. If that's the guy you're sending into it. If it's not Wesley, it's him, right?
Yeah.
He's another person I feel like deserves it. Even if there's a lot of people listen, a lot of people are like upset with the draft. Were upset with the draft because like, oh, this person didn't get a belt, or Keanu Jordan only got the tag team championship. Listen, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing when they send those people out to the main draft. My biggest pick, and which y'all should be mad about, is the fact that why Braun Breaker ain't in the King of the Ring tournament. That's what I'm pissed about. That's what I'm tight about.
How?
That's what I'm tight about. Because what was the point of you switching him to Raw? And I'm always advocate for Braun Breaker. I'm a Braun Breaker advocate. I like me some Braun Breaker. Why he and his tan not in this tournament? Y'all and then all these people getting injured and unable to compete. Can y'all give him a chance? Can y'all give him an open seat at the table? Like, can y'all say, hey, you can't sit here with us. You're injured. Go on the spectator. You want to, like, okay, football. Your ankle's twisted. You get on the field. Why we ain't do that with Braun Breaker? That was the biggest missed opportunity. I didn't get it. I'm glad they addressed it on Raw. He said he was like, it's not like I'm the breakout star of this whole thing. I should be in the tournament. You damn
Absolutely.
right, brother. You
Absolutely.
should. You should, Tan Breaker. You should. And I hope they change. They Pierce. Clock ticking. Get to it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. But real quick, NXT has started. You have Soluruko going up against Izzy Dane, like we talked about. One person that I'm definitely hoping that sticks out for this women's North American. Of course, I'm rooting for Kalani Jordan, but I feel like it was interesting to see past Jordan and even Brindley Reese. I was happy she qualified. Rain Sinclair, same thing. And also, I like that the head baddie. I'm wearing her shirt right now, giving old school shade. She qualified, Miss Mi Chen. So what do we think about her stepping into NXT?
I think it's as far as Mi Chen, I think it's certainly a breath of fresh air for her, and so it gives her more room, more in terms of sound like this, sort of like more room to shine and really like make more of a statement and create her own lane. Whereas sometimes on the main roster, she has, with all due respect to her, I know she's a friend of the program, stuff like that. Like I said, everybody knows her stuff. But like I said, I'm just being honest. There are times on the main roster, I feel like a lot of times she was lost in the shuffle.
Right.
And so I think when it comes to NXT, this definitely a great platform for her to leave an even bigger mark, for herself, especially since she came back to WWE instead of constantly being in AJ's shadow and stuff like that, and they're not really right with the OC and things like that. So it's just like, why waste her in a situation like that? And instead, like I said, put her in NXT, where, like I said, where she could, where she could really showcase, who she really is. You know what I mean? And so I think that the talent is everything is right there for her. So I think the doors of possibility, windows of possibilities are absolutely open for her.
They're open for her.
Yeah, definitely.
I definitely agree. I think that them giving the women another title to now fight for, definitely long overdue. I was never a fan of them merging the tag team titles, especially when it's very quick to see that Sean and Matt and Robbie are putting in double, triple, like quadruple overtime, making sure that they have a stacked enough tag team division and a stacked enough women's division. I think the tag team division at NXT is heating up. Two guys that I feel like definitely took too long in the catering of NXT. Tyree and Tyrus, they just debuted and they just won last week. Honestly, was happy to see that they won.
Yeah.
Last week. And then you have Malik and Idris. I don't know what their issue is. I'm liking that they gave Brindley Reese those two to give them some powerful motivation. You know what I mean? I'm happy to see that, because that's what we need. We need, if we're giving old school WWE without doing too much, we need to make sure that we're doing the elements right. It's great to have Out the Mud, even though, Reggie, most of that Scripps is not with WWE. He's letting his contract run out for the time being, so he will not be on NXT until his contract runs out. Look, we have 3 women. We have 3 women in a stable. You have, Razzo, who's with the family, the Tony D'Angelo family. You got Jada Parker with Out the Mud. She seems like she's perfect. at taking up the role of being that manager, but also doing well for herself.
Yeah.
You know, standing up on her own as a manager, like, listen, I'm gonna make sure the boy is okay, and I'm gonna do when it's time for me to do what I gotta do, I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
Yeah.
You also have somebody like Brindley Reese, who's like, these guys were so down and out. They're electrifying and explosive at one moment, but then their motion gets shot down. Now they got somebody who's such a powerful, positive entity in the entire thing that they can't come down. Like, there's no way to slow them down, right? You need the balance shift. I know we get a lot of, we're mixing these people together that shouldn't be jammed together. We complained about that. They saw that complaint and were like, oh, we just put random people together. Okay, let's put some people together that makes sense. So now you can't complain.
Right.
In my fair opinion.
Absolutely. So now that those boxes have been checked off. You know what I mean? So I think when it comes to Malik and Idris, I think they're long overdue when it comes to especially when it comes to tag team titles.
Right.
Now, you know what I mean? So it's just like I said, if anything, like I said, it's just like they haven't really caught too much of a break, and of course in that aspect. So we're talking about that. So I think that they're making sure, like you says, as far as like Sean and company, they're making sure that they have all those bases covered. And
exactly.
You can definitely tell that they pay attention to that. And also, another thing is, if you notice last year's draft, you look at how Sean looked when that draft happened. You could tell he was very unhappy. Especially Hartwell and Grayson Waller. I felt bad for him. But in this time, like I said, he's excited. You could definitely tell by the smile on his face when Dragunov and Lyra and all them, and of course Braun got the call up. You know what I mean, and as well as Carmelo. You know what I mean. You could tell that he was more than thrilled with the product now compared to what it was at that time.
Yeah, you brought up a very interesting point, because I remember like that a lot of people I think were upset because like out of all the people you had, you took a woman who had just finally gotten to the top of the pinnacle of the division while she was injured as women's champion, and then you took the one guy who never even got a chance to have that, who should have been, who in my opinion with Grayson Waller, and I'll be really honest, he is a main guy. In my opinion, he's always been main guy NXT. He took something during the 2.0 era and ran with it, and he was one of the individuals. They let him be himself, because from what I've seen, that's Grayson Waller in and outside. Like, he's a very respectful guy, but that's somebody who he is in and outside of WWE. So they took those two guys, fine, but like you left behind a lineage of people who also deserve to be up there. Like, not for nothing, I think the crowd would have enjoyed them and Nikita Lyons. I think they would have liked her. She would have been something nice to look at. She had a little attitude with her. She would have been up there. Same thing, and I understand maybe it was in the science of we're picking the people we think are ready the most, and these people are ready the most, but it's just like just them. Like, what about everybody else?
Yeah.
Granted, for me too, I also thought that it was weird that Braun Breaker wasn't chosen, especially after you made him drop the title.
Right. As Stand Deliver.
Right. So I think that's why I think that's part of why they did the whole all champions are protected, because that pissed a lot of people off. And then like you said with Sean, he looked bothered, because I know for a fact there's no way he's working in and out with these kids. You gave him this, and especially though it turned on the motivation, because it's like, all right, you want me to show you the best of the best. Now I'm gonna make this program the best of the best, and I'm gonna show you who's the best of the best. So now they had to this fast forward. They did not pick Braun after LA. They were fighting for Braun this year.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
Tiffany Stratton, obviously, like you go toe to toe with a woman who's considered the a Mount Rushmore of women's wrestling in the modern era. Right now, you went up against Becky Lynch and you sold me what I needed to be sold. You need to be on the main roster. No doubt about it. So they did the right thing. I think that they need to get rid of the draft, because if you're not going to give me NBA surprises, if you're not going to do what you used to do in split tag teams, I don't want none of this shit. Start just drafting NXT stars to the main roster, and then later on do a swap.
That's what it is.
You do a trade. That's how it should be. It shouldn't. It like get rid of this draft if you're not going to take NXT people away from NXT.
Exactly. You know what I mean? That's the whole purpose in terms of getting the promotions like an NBA draft. You know what I mean? Like you move from college to pros. And that's really what NXT is.
In this draft, also like y'all had the Ringer, Sports Illustrated, ESPN. If you want to make it UFC type, start letting them drop the news of who's getting traded. Putting it on that website. That could have been easily a backstage. Oh, the girls are fighting. Hold on, wait, the girls are fighting. Yeah. We got Carmen Petrovic, and we're going to wrap this up because I want to see more of the girls fighting. But like I said, listen, put it in an email. Send me a press release. I'm an investor in WWE. Send me a press release before you send anybody else. I would have been fine with that because this draft did nothing. It did nothing. I'm hoping it gets bigger because now they've moved WrestleMania to the mid-April section of the calendar. Maybe they'll do something interesting for for May because there's no draft in May. It's just PAGA stuff with golf and the start of Premier League. So that'd be perfect if they did like a big draft then. Before we go, Vaughn, I do want to thank you. There were a lot of points I didn't touch on because we're still going to get into what's going on with Tony D'Angelo. If now tonight he's going up for the Heritage Cup, I'm going to talk about the build up on that next episode. Real quick, I always ask everybody who they think is next up in NXT. So who is your eye on besides the champions on the roster?
My eyes are on Javon Evans, Idris Inoue.
By himself?
Both him and his tag partner.
Okay.
Lash Legends become the future women's champion. So that's what I have next. I have Josh Briggs to eventually become become the North American champion. So those are the ones that I really have next in that aspect. Eventually Wesley's going to get the belt back, but those are who I have my eyes on as far as next, and Jada Parker as well.
Okay. You named a lot of people that you have up next. Your biggest takeaway, listen, we're 2 weeks away. We just found out that Soroko just qualified for the ladder match that is happening at BattleGround. We are months away from Toronto's Money in the Bank, first big other PLE weekend to have a NXT show in that weekend. Besides WrestleMania, Heat Wave is now going to be a PLE, and it will round out that big 5 weekend. They now call it the Big 5. There's no longer the Big 4. Money in the Bank is one of them. I love that concept. Big PLE reaction from France. Shout out to anybody in the chat from France. They just waking up in the morning. Shout out to them. Big reaction. WWE says they want us to copy that. I feel like when I get to Toronto and I get to that arena, listen, my ears are going to be deafened. I'm going to not hear a thing. Because one thing about Canadians, love them some wrestling.
Yes, they do.
They love them some wrestling. Big things coming up, and the NXT's heating up again, and I like it. Again, you have people that are sticking out now a lot more. So the only way you're going to be able to hear what I have to say before the show happens is to watch what happens NXT. And that's it. Just gotta watch what happens NXT. There we go. Vaughn, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I know this is a long time overdue. I know you're kind of the masked man behind wrestling, but I also call you're my Kenny Omega. You are the belt collector. Wow. After it comes to this, the guys, my brothers over at the Wrestling Realm, Mr. Corey fixing my kicks. Shout out to King Coley. Today is his birthday. The creator of Title Tuesday. Shout out to him. You guys are ultimately the guys I put on my top 10 combine list of belt collectors. So what belts, if you had to have, what belt would you get next?
On NXT?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the NXT title itself. Without question. I didn't even have to think about it twice. The NXT championship itself. The current one. I originally had my eye on the big X original NXT title at WrestleMania 32 in Dallas. But this one right here, the latest one, I will put that in my collection without question. at all.
I don't even think they had it at the Superstore.
You know what? I think they did have it at the Superstore. They might have. They had a whole bunch of belts at the Superstore, but yeah, that one, I probably get it. I probably get it even before you go into the Superstore. To be honest with you, before going to Vegas. You know what I mean? Because I saw even while I was leaving LAX last year, I saw a dude that had an NXT belt wrapped around his book bag. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. I was like, oh shoot, I could definitely get that. Yeah, like I said, the main goal.
What is the allure of having a belt as a belt collector? And then we're gonna end with that, because I see you when we actually went into each other, and y'all know, listen, I'm a baby. I'm scared of holding people's stuff, especially when it costs that much money. Because I was looking at getting one myself, and I was like, yeah, wait, the pull the trigger, because we're trying to work on things. We just got a new mic. We're trying to work on stuff. So let's see. We're going to have to hold. But what's the most expensive belt you have? And what is the allure of collecting these belts for you as a fan?
Full disclosure, the most expensive belt I have is the Winged Eagle WWF title. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's not even the same price as you get on the WWE shop. Believe it or not.
Really?
I like full little hack, if you will. I actually got the thing off of Amazon because it's a WWF title. It's like $259 or something like that. But yeah, it's like I said, I guess I just gave a spoiler little cheat sheet. But that's what it is. But yeah, like I said, the allure of it, it's just like this type of status that comes along with it. I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's just like it's an attraction. It starts conversations. I mean, it makes you feel like the real deal. And yeah, you know what I mean. So that's my favorite. And that's the allure of having those belts. I know people who got like 12, 14 titles and things like that. I only got 3, and I'm not even I get my belts sporadically at a time. But to answer the question, like I said, the Winged Eagle, and just to have the prestige of it, just makes you feel like the real deal. You know what I mean?
I love that. Maybe I'll have my own title one day.
Oh, yeah, you will.
Oh, we'll see, child. I already thought I was the shit with the wrestling round belt, so maybe it's not a bad look for me. But I'm a very fashionable girl, so I know if you give me a title, like a title with a certain color, I'm just gonna buy more clothes, and we don't need that. Like we don't need that. Like me particularly don't need to be doing that, but we will see. Real quick, give yourself the plug. I'm gonna give you the floor. Where can everyone find you?
So yeah, of course, on Twitter, everybody can find me on Twitter at 301 King Vaughan Jr. You can follow me on Instagram at Mr. King Vaughan Jr. You can find me on Wednesdays on YouTube at youtube.com/@Von Virginia. And so of course, like I said, those are things that's what I have right now. And I'm in the process of looking to get some more merchandise, put out there. So please stay tuned to that. And so of course, like I said, another, like I said, constantly looking at great, exciting episodes. Constantly looking to get more guests, more interviews, and things like that. And so that's really what it is. And so, like I said, we talk about wrestling, we talk about other stuff as far as pop culture related. You know what I mean? Like I said, latest thing we talked about music with Kendrick, talked about X-Men, wherever else you name it. So it's just like a variety, but the foundation is wrestling in and of itself. So that's my plug right there.
I like that. Listen, we ain't gonna get into no Kendrick and Drake. We already know who lost. I'm not gonna repeat myself. We already know who lost all that. We ain't gonna go into all that. Save that conversation for Twitter and your mama. And on that note, I'm going to say enjoy NXT. Listen, I've been enjoying this watching Out the Mud and Malik and Idris tear it up. I hope Booker T is not slamming them on commentary, because he's doing that. I don't know what his problem is. He better fix it. But I'm gonna let everybody go real quick. I want to thank everybody for stopping into the show, for spending a little bit more time with us while NXT was on. Be sure to watch next week. Like I said, we're getting ready for BattleGround. Yes, and am I doing a BattleGround pre-show? Yes, I am. Look out for that flyer. Look out for the guests. Yeah, everybody knows where to find me. I am here every Tuesday before NXT. We'll be doing watch parties on PLE for TV shows. We'll be even doing more. And when I say more of, we'll be doing more of watch long parties. We love it out here. We have fun out here. We do a watch long party. Big plug again to those wrestling girls for allowing me to share the space with them. You can catch those wrestling girls on all their social media streaming platforms: YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram. Catch them. Big stuff coming up with them. Changing the landscape on our side as well. We're growing bigger. We're not going anywhere. Watch What Happens NXT has been the platform that I've been allowed and blessed with to create with them. But I got a lot of things going on in the pot too. Like I said, we're moments away from my favorite last big 5 pay-per-view I'll be doing for a while until WrestleMania, because it get pricey. I understand if everybody don't go, everybody can't go. Big weekend ahead when it comes to Money in the Bank. It is happening in Toronto that weekend, and right after that it is Heat Wave. So please tune in every Tuesday. We're here, we're active, 6:15 sharp before NXT starts. And on that note, I'm going to hit you with the home 20. Vaughn, thank you for coming in. You're welcome back. We'll see you back in the chat. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for all of it. Really appreciate you. And yeah, that's what I got. So we're going to have... I wonder what I should have take us out. I don't have my dance and whoop that trick video because I think we got to work on that. We're going to talk about North American titles. Might as well talk about the North American title. Have us take us out. Thank you guys. I will see you next week. Enjoy NXT and remember to watch what happens next. Good night.
I
think that any African American or anybody even of Latino descent, because shout out to Dominic and Driving Lee, and even Damian Priest had it at one point, if I'm not mistaken. Damian Priest was also the North American champion at one point, and look at where he is now. He's senior Money in the Bank, an undisputed tag team champ. Look at what all these accomplishments can do for somebody with the North American championship. So let's not think about it as they don't want to give us anything but that. Let's think about it as this is a stepping stone. And it should be treated like a stepping stone. Y'all, like, you don't understand right now, WWE's in a place where they're fighting to put respect on all their belts, which is why you have Gunther being the longest reigning Intercontinental Championship of all time. We're having arguments about Roman Reigns possibly beating Hogan's record. We had one of the longest reigning undisputed tag team champions in the Usos. You have now Logan Paul carrying the US Championship. Rhea